Hello everybody, how's it going today? We are back on the project, working on hopefully finishing up timing cover today, and also working on water pump. Got the backing plate cleaned up, ready to go. Cleaned up the original pump. You know, it's an experiment. I'll give it a try. I'm sure the bearings are probably noisy or seal probably leaks, but you know, we'll give it a run. What the heck? Still got freeze plugs to do. Have to replace the heater hose nipples. I finally got those all dug out, so I got the new ones over here ready to drive in. Put some sealer around them. Then put that backing plate on that I just showed you, and then the water pump should be ready to go. Got the oil pump hiding here ready to go in. And harmonic balancer down there ready to go. It really doesn't have that bad of a ridge on it where the oil seal was riding, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it on there and we'll give it a run. What's the worst that could happen? Leak, right? Got all my gaskets ready. Surfaces are pretty clean. I'll give them one more wipe down before we put them together. Trying to decide I want to keep doing more experimentations. Most of the gaskets that I pulled out of this thing did not appear to have any kind of sealer on them at all. I don't know if that means it just dried up over many years of use, or if they actually never did use sealer when they put those gaskets on from the factory. I mean, even in the area where this rubber seal meets the quart gasket, I really didn't even see any kind of like silicone or rubber sealant in there either. Now, like I said, most of this leading to this being an original engine that had never been apart, maybe that just kind of got crusty and just kind of deteriorated over the years, and I've always used sealer, so maybe it'll be just another fun experiment to maybe not throw any sealer on it and see if it seals any better or if it doesn't seal at all. Not sure. On the timing cover, I did forget to mention, there were some rough castings here where it transitions through the water jacket. But I took a grinding tool with a carbide bit on there and just kind of went in there and smoothed out those transitions. I don't know if it really make any difference to the water flow or not, but I'm kind of looking at it from kind of a turbulence type thing where water going through there hits those jagged edges, kind of spins it around, turbulates it instead of just giving it a nice flow through. You know, more experimentation may not make a darn bit of difference at all, but you know, makes me feel better that it's kind of cleaned up a little bit. Looks a little smoother transition through there. Sorry I didn't film it, but I did put the front seal in. Got a driver set here and got it started and hammered it in and got it setting all the way flush. Pointer, if you didn't know, these original probably 260, 289, maybe the early 302s, I'm not sure when they changed it for sure, but originally these crankshaft seals only come in through the back side. It is not bored all the way through the same diameter. It has a lip, and this is the only way to change a seal is to take the whole timing cover off to change a crank seal. Kind of stinks, but I don't know. Maybe they just didn't leak that much like they do on some of these newer ones. But yeah, you cannot drive this thing out through the front. It's got a lip on it. Not going to happen. Got to pull the entire. You know, if you got this thing in the vehicle, you've got accessories and brackets and mounts, water pump. You got to pull all that stuff off, unhook your heater hoses. You know, you have to unbolt it from your oil pan and hope that you don't tear up this seal. And if you do, then you get to buy one of those little repair kits. It gives you a little chunk of cork here to, you know, replace here, and then gives you a new seal at the bottom, which gives you more places for it to leak. So definitely something, if you've got this far into a project like this, whether it's an experiment or low budget or complete high dollar rebuild, obviously you're going to be changing that out. Looks mostly flat. I think we're okay. I've went through and used my thread chaser restorer and been using that to clean up some of the thread holes, make sure all the junk's out of them. These are not meant to cut threads or make threads. These are just made to clean or restore slightly damaged threads. I'm sure the material is probably not super strong. If you tried to actually try to cut threads with this, it probably would work, but I bet you they wouldn't last very long. And then I haven't never had to use too many of these, but these are to restore the threads on bolts if you have some slightly damaged ones. It's kind of a nice little set. I bought it on Amazon for 40 bucks. I think if you go through most of the auto parts stores locally, you're going to pay about 80 or 90, so it's a pretty good value. I'm not complaining for no more than I use it. So, but harmonic balancer, it's cleaned up and ready to go. It's kind of gotten a little old and crusty. The seal's deteriorating on it, and we'll just keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't look like it's going to vibrate off. I've got a couple other ones laying around, so if that one doesn't look up to par, if it acts like it's caused a vibration, or if we find out it's slipped or something on the rubber isolator, we'll obviously go ahead and replace it. But that's where we're at. We're going to get the timing cover prepped. We're going to get surfaces cleaned up again, make sure they're good. I'll make a decision of whether I want to try to put them on dead dry or if I want to put on some kind of a spray adhesive. Most of the time I think I've always just put on a really light coat of silicone, and maybe I'll do two things. Maybe I'll put silicone around the water jackets to make sure those seal, and maybe I'll just leave the rest of it dry. I don't know. Something to tinker around with. Definitely will throw maybe a little more grease on the chain here, or maybe drip some oil on it. Try to decide what I want to do. I may just brush that engine assembly lube on it or something. That way it's not dripping down and getting on my surfaces as I'm trying to put the timing cover on. Definitely we'll put some on here, for that's what the fuel pump rides on. Don't want that thing rubbing dry for its initial start, so we'll put some all the way around this eccentric here and make sure. That's pretty much it. If we get that far with it, we'll get into oil pan, which is hiding up there. Put the oil pump in, obviously, before we put the oil pan on. And then hopefully this time I'll have gotten through this thing without forgetting something. One of the perils of working on things in your spare time is you have lots of other things going on that lead you to forget about things that you've done on your project in the meantime. It's nice to write down notes, but then sometimes you look at your notes and you're like, what did I write? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to remember? So then I go back and checking all kinds of stuff like 4 or 5 times before I button it up to make sure that I didn't forget to torque a cap or torque a rod bolt. Yeah, those things have crossed my mind many a times in my life. Buttoned up a complete project and sit there and thought, now I torqued all that stuff, right? Yeah, surely I torqued all that stuff. So, human being stuff. Alright, we'll kick you out of here, get back into this when we get on to our next part of it, which I believe should be that. So we'll get you back in here in just a little bit.